So what is GM style, and why is it important for you and your players to know what it is? Well, just as we are all individuals with our own likes and dislikes, your GM style could be seen as simply a reflection of you. Summing up the game experience that you provide, including the themes that you enjoy running, your narration style, and your relationship with the rules. Now, summing all of that up may seem like a big task, but if you follow along with me here, I will show you how to quickly and easily find and summarize your GM style, and I will give you an example at the end. Now, talking about themes and genres may seem like broad topics in themselves, but think of it this way. If you were going to watch a movie or read a book, what information would you need to know before you wanted to pick that book up? Generally, I find this can be boiled down to two areas. On one side, you have theme intensity or value. This is the general overall feeling of your game. Do you enjoy silly, light-hearted games full of fun and laughter, wacky, lovable characters, and wholesome storylines? Do you prefer dark, serious games with gritty, emotional storylines and mysterious characters and heavy political intrigue? Or maybe you play somewhere in the grey, running roller coaster campaigns with clippings from either end of the scale and a few mixed in the middle. Personally, my normal theme value sits somewhere between the 50% to 75% mark. Like a good dark chocolate, meaning I normally enjoy running games on the darker side without going full Game of Thrones on it. Next, we talk about game genre. Now, just like movies, games come with different genres. There are horror games, action games, adventure games, mystery games, cozy wholesome games, as well as fantasy and sci-fi games. Note that some genres may overlap as well. Now, while I am not saying that you need to tie yourself down to a single genre, it's very normal to mix genres and see what comes out. It can be very helpful to know what genres you really do not enjoy playing, because generally, if you're not going to enjoy playing it, you're not going to be having fun at the table, you're not going to be running a good game. For example, personally, I enjoy running most genres of game, however, I really struggle with horror and political intrigue. They're not genres or themes that I enjoy, and I really don't feel like I do them well, so I don't do them. Now, narration style is an interesting topic, because from what I've seen, there are a lot of opinions on the matter. But generally speaking, narration style is how you conduct yourself throughout the game, and how you convey information to your players. For this one, I will give you a few archetypes to think about, but understand that these are not isolated entities. You will find mixes of all of them, and I'll explain at the end. The Immersionist. Taking a poetic and immersive tone, you described your world's characters, environments, and experiences in the greatest detail, drawing your players into the scene and immersing them in your story. The Reader. You explain things simply and quickly to keep the game moving, only focusing on the important details that your players need to know to make decisions in the game. The Voice Actor. Going full Matt Mercer and cracking out your best accents and inflections to delight your players, or simply keep track of who's talking. The Voice Shifter. Rather than tempting fate or cultural insensitivity, you choose to simply change your posture, pitch, and tone to inform your players when you are talking in character. The Narrator. Doing away with voices altogether, you simply inform your players of what an NPC is saying the same way you would describe anything else in your game. Now, due to the popularity of TTRPG streams such as Critical Role or Dimension 20, many might say that real GMs must be a mix of voice actor and immersionist. But all of these styles are completely valid to the right players. And if it is how you run games, then there will 100% be players out there who enjoy that style of game. For example, myself, I am an immersionist GM who sits somewhere between voice actor and voice shifter. I enjoy doing character voices, however I know I am not always great at maintaining them, which not only risks becoming culturally insensitive, but also breaks immersion. So sometimes, especially for smaller NPCs, I will choose to simply change my pitch and tone and maybe add the hint of an accent rather than going whole hog. But as a GM who leans towards the immersionist, I have had a potential player listen to me narrate a scene and lean back in her chair and go, "Oh, can you get on with it?" So yeah, it's not going to be for everybody. Gameplay style can cover a few areas, but mainly it boils down to two things: gameplay area and rules. Now, you'll find that gameplay area mainly applies to combat or other areas of play where it is important for you and your players to know what is going on in the general area around them. And really, it usually breaks down to a very simple question. Do you play with maps and minis, or do you play Theater of the Mind? And while most players I've met don't care which one you use, it can be a deal breaker for certain more picky players. And then we come to the rules, or more accurately, how you handle them. Now, many would say that the rules are there for a reason, holding fast to the rules as written and playing the game in its purest, rawest form. But others tend to lean more or less towards homebrew and house rules, as well as the ever-popular rule of cool. This is where an action suggested by a player shouldn't really work based on the rules of the game, but the GM just thinks it sounds really cool, so they let him try for it. Now, this is unfortunately an area that can make or break your game for players. Hardcore rules lawyers won't take kindly to loosey-goosey GMs who let their players do whatever they want, and story-driven players may be turned off when the rules start to restrict their creativity. For me, my gameplay style generally falls on the looser side when it comes to rules, and I am 100% a maps and minis boy. There are only so many rounds that I can start by answering the question, okay, so where is everybody? Before I lose my mind. So let's run over my list real quick. I'm a story-driven GM who enjoys running fantasy and sci-fi games on the darker end of the spectrum, though I generally don't run horror or political intrigue games. I enjoy running immersive gameplay and roleplay with light character voice use. I'm a loose GM, I'm not too restrictive on the rules or lore of a world, and I'm happy to roll with most players' ideas and characters. So that's a general summary that we've made in about 5 minutes, and though it doesn't completely encompass my GM style, it's a really great starting point. And if this sounds good to you, let me take a moment to remind you that I run games for my Ko-fi supporters over on Discord. Through my Ko-fi store, there are a number of tiers for subscription, all heavy metal themed of course, where you can help support what I do and get yourself some exclusive perks and content from yours truly, including monthly one-shots run by me. Please go and check it out, subscribe if you can, it is your support that helps me on this journey for bringing you awesome and creative content. But I digress. What was I saying? So once we know our GM style, then what? Well, like any other entertainment medium, tastes in the TTRPG community vary. Your GM style isn't going to appeal to everybody, just like other GM styles aren't going to appeal to you. But that's okay, there will be plenty of players out there who love your game. So run it your way, but be open to new experiences. As in all things, when running TTRPGs, communication is key. You should be open to communicating with your players about your GM style and the game you all want to play. If a player doesn't enjoy your GM style, that's okay, but remember that does not necessarily mean that you need to change your GM style for that player. Feel free to communicate with your players, discuss expectations, and explore options for them to find their needs in your game. But it is important to remember that while you are running the game, you are also playing. You need to be having fun too, and if you are running a game that you don't generally enjoy, you are not going to be doing that. There is a GM for every player, and there are players for every GM. If your styles don't align, you may just need to not play together. But also, and this may go against everything that I just said, remember to keep an open mind and explore new avenues when it comes to your GM style. GM style can be an ever-changing thing, and that's part of the beauty of it. One day you could wake up and decide you really want to run a style of game that you never thought of before. So be open to new ideas and experiences. And also remember that the system you run may inform your GM style a lot. And if you'd like to see 2 of my recommended game systems, you can check out my video here. A huge thank you to my Ko-fi supporters, I wouldn't be able to do this without you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.